Now, Senator Raffy Tulfo has urged the Migrant Workers Department to be more aggressive in its campaign against abusive employers and recruitment agencies. Tulfo suggested that the DMW must screen prospective employers and agencies amid reports of OFWs suffering from mental disorders and victimized by blacklisted recruitment agencies. Tulfo likewise reiterated the need to establish an effective monitoring system by the Migrant Workers Office in different countries. For their part, Secretary Toots Ople acknowledged problems and the gaps in the system, saying that Tulfo's chairmanship of the committee could help with their system reform agenda. Now, here to discuss his plans to address abusive employers and more, we have with us Senator Raffy Tulfo. He is joining us live via Zoom. Good evening and welcome to The Big Story, Senator Tulfo. Idol, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Sir Jester and Ma'am Gretchen. Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Okay, Senator, first, before we discuss your plans here when it comes to migrant workers, give us an idea first. How big of a problem are we dealing with here when it comes, of course, to abuses experienced by our OFWs?
If we will base it on my experience for the past 20 years, it's really a big issue. It's a big problem that has to be addressed now. And as far as I'm concerned, it has to be addressed right now, right here, especially now. Ako na po yung committee chairman ng migrant workers. I'll make sure na kung hindi man totally ma-eradicate, at least mabawasan ng malaki itong nangyaring pang-abuso sa ating mga migrant workers.
Senator, you mentioned tougher screening for companies and employers. What exactly does this mean? Does it mean more requirements? And what can be done in terms of being able to screen out those abusive companies?
You're right, Ms. Gretchen. We're just trying to put a system in place to ensure that our OFWs, when they get to their assignments, they're not going to be prone to abuses. This is the situation. Before an OFW gets deployed to his or her assignment, she has to comply to a lot of requirements. Kasama dyan yung police clearance, NBI clearance, barangay clearance, health clearance, so many clearances. But what happens when she gets to her assignment? Yung employer na pupuntahan niya, the guy or the employer doesn't have to submit anything. So papaano kung merong criminal record yung employer? So yung ating OFW, when she gets to the employer, safe employer kasi clean yung record niya at physically and mentally fit siya to work. But the employers, they are not obliged to submit any document showing na sila ay physically and mentally fit to have workers in their household, domestic foreign workers sa kanilang bahay at wala silang ipapakita kailangan mga dokumento to make sure na sila ay malinis, wala silang criminal records. So yun yung problema eh. So it's about time na dapat two-way. Kailangan papakita rin yung mga employer na mga dokumento to ensure na sila ay capable na mag-handle ng mga workers sa kanilang household. At the same time na wala silang criminal records because in so many instances, I've received complaints where an employer has already been flagged as a recidivist, meaning so many times na sila, yung employer na nag-abuso ng worker, whether that's Filipino or other foreign workers, and yet time and time and again, nakakatanggap pa rin ng mga workers, itong mga employers na masama ng record na dapat hindi na, dapat na blacklist na.
Mm-hmm. Now, based from your data, Senator, where are the abusive companies or employers mostly coming from? Or do we have data kung anong mga bansa or region at least are somewhat problematic for our OFWs?
Yeah, usually rampant yung sa Kuwait, UAE, Saudi Arabia. These are the countries that I usually receive complaints from OFWs who are being abused almost every single week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, kanina, Senator, you mentioned tougher requirements. Are we also looking at the possibility na baka naman this time, if we at least also toughen up the requirement for employers, baka naman mag-source sila ng talent or ng workers from other countries apart from the Philippines?
No, we're not being tough. We're just being fair para sa ating mga workers. Kasi nga naman, we need to have some documentation from these employers na sila ay walang criminal records. The same manner na ni-request nila dito sa ating bansa bago ma-deploy yung ating mga workers sa kanila na to make sure na walang criminal records yung mga workers natin. So dapat ganun din sila. You show me mine, I show you yours. So dito kasi ngayon, it's one-way street. Yung tayo lang papakita, yung mga workers natin papakita na sila'y malinis, na sila'y walang record, na sila'y healthy. Pero how about the employers? Wala. So kailangan na siguro one piece of document, siguro enough na to make sure na wala silang police record, na wala silang criminal history. O mas maganda kung ma-add pa dyan, siguro they're mentally fit na para magtanggap ng workers sa kanilang household.
Senator,
So,
with
siguro
with all of these concerns, no, meron pa kasing isa pang concern, which is yung sa proseso nung pag-hire, na yung agency is free from obligations because nakikita lang po nung pamilya yung recruiter. How do you plan to legislate or put this all into legislation to be able to make sure that the whole process is abuse-free, not just abroad, but also here in the Philippines?
There is already a government-to-government agreement in place with other countries. Ito nga nakakatawa eh. Doon sa mga lugar na wala naman tayo natanggap ng abuses, pumayag agad itong mga bansa na ito, madali natin sila na pa-agree na para magkaroon ng government-to-government agreement na para to make sure na yung mga sinabi ko kanina, may mga systems in place para maiwasan yung pang-abuso sa ating mga OFWs. Whereas ito sa mga Middle East countries tulad ng Saudi and Kuwait, hindi sila pumapayag, nahihirapan pa tayo. We still have, the talks are still going on. So sana mapabilis itong talks. If I need to go to Saudi, to Kuwait, to explain in behalf of the OFW, so be it. I'll be there. I'll go there anytime. I'll meet anybody doon sa mga lugar na kung saan marami na abuso ng ating mga OFWs.
Pero paano naman po yung mga nagloloko po dito na mga ahensya na hindi po naobliga at yung recruiter lang po yung nakakasuhan o nagkakaroon ng kaso po sa kanila? Paano po natin mapapanagot yung mga ahensya na yun?
Yeah, that's why I said in the past na I would recommend sa ating Department of Migrant Workers na yung strike one policy. Kapag halimbawa ang isang recruiter nagkaroon ng pagkakamali, recruitment agency na naging pabaya at naabuso yung kanyang worker dahil nakita talaga sa kapabayaan niya, hindi siya gumagawa ng monitoring dahilan para maabuso yung worker, then kanselahin na, iba-blacklist na siya, hindi siya pwede maging recruiter. Yun yung sinasabi kong one-strike policy because it is really very hard to be at the other end na kung saan ikaw ay inaabuso bilang isang worker, malaya ka sa family mo, ikaw ay nire-rape, ikaw ay binubugbog, ikaw ay sinasaktan, at worse, sometimes ginagawa ng story hanggang sa makulong ka. So it's about time something has to be done and we're doing something about it.
All right, definitely kulang yung oras natin. We have so much, of course, to discuss more with Senator Raffy Tulfo. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. And this is something, of course, that we are going to look forward to. Keep us updated, of course, Senator, on your plans, of course, for our migrant workers. Again, that was Senator Raffy Tulfo.
Thank you, Sir Jester and Ma'am Gretchen. Good evening.